What up, y'all? The Watering Hole media team is inside of the building of the United Center for the last day of the DNC when Kamala Harris accepts her nomination. Question, what does America need to hear from Kamala tonight, Preston?
Oh, we starting with me?
Yeah, we starting with you.
You got the longest list, so what's up, though?
He got the most grievances there.
I'm glad you know my Instacart list is long. A lot, I think. I mean, listen, I'm fully supportive of Vice President Harris and can't wait to vote for her. But I think for me, the number one issue that I hope she addresses, that I think Democrats have to get better at, is just ways we talk about Gaza and Palestine.
Sure.
It's actually really disappointing the way the conversation has been going the past several weeks. There's like this weird pro thing happening that I don't think like Black or Palestinian people are to blame for it happening, but some of us are guilty and falling into this trap. Mm-hmm. And I just don't know where it's coming from outside of just fear, right? I just hope she addresses a ceasefire in a way that sounds genuine, that sounds authentic, and I just really hope that. Like that is the number one thing. I don't know if it will. I pray it does, but I'll stop there because I have a long list.
Absolutely. That's the one that's at the top of my list as well, because there's so many protesters outside right now, and I think their voices need to be heard, and we also need that youth vote, so I want her to say.
We just can't keep discussing democracy while silencing particular voices, and I think that is what, as someone who is a progressive, right, and I mean, the Democrats is a big tent, but I think that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing that we are big enough to hear multiple voices. I think it's not a good thing when we pretend that the ones who are deeply on the left don't matter and that we're honoring Republicans who are speaking at the convention more than other folks who actually are more like-minded with us. We just have some disagreements.
I think it is important for Kamala herself to address this and for the campaign to be really intentional about it. But I do think that having someone, the family members of someone who's currently being held hostage, come and speak personally and not have a Palestinian come and speak personally is ridiculous, right? Like, we do need her to address it, but we also did need to hear from the other side. And it's, convention starts in a couple hours. They've said that that's not happening. So I felt like that was unnecessary to portray it in such an unbalanced way. And yeah, I hope that she can somehow make up for it in her address.
Yeah, to that point, I do think, especially considering the history that's happening with having a Black and South Asian woman accepting this candidacy, this nomination, when we used to be the voices that were not given space on that stage. Absolutely. So for us to finally reach this place and people feeling silenced still, that is what's really hard to see. I do think that something has to be said to at least bring together people in the sense of being like, I want to hear her be real about the fact that she understands that we all have a lot to do and hold her accountable for, but this is just the first step. Echoing Michelle Obama talking about how there's work that needs to be done, and that does not just stop on election day. Yeah. Election day or even inauguration day is the beginning of a road of us getting to a place that would bring the party together more, because there are a lot of us on the outskirts looking for things that we do not feel represented by, but know that we must vote Kamala in to have a chance to survive, to be free. I didn't want to be out. You want to know what I wanted to say? To stay out them chains. I don't want to be a slave. I can stay in it. I'd be a terrible slave.
I'll break chains all by myself.
President Biden and I are working to end this war such that Israel is secure, the hostages are released, the suffering in Gaza ends, and the Palestinian people can realize their right to dignity, security, freedom, and self-determination.
On a bit more personal note, I've been saying this. There's an aspect of something that Kamala Harris represents that I'm so excited to see as an HBCU alum, and I really hope that there is a moment in the speech that addresses that some way. I felt it in the audience when somebody shouted out she was an HBCU alum during their speech earlier this week, and I really felt it in my spirit, like, oh my God, that is a thing that's happening. Because as much as we feel represented by felt represented by Barack Obama, especially me as a Kenyan American. Him and Michelle Obama both had very, traditional academia degrees, whether it was Princeton, Columbia, like the places you're told to go. As an HBCU alum, like so many of us were told that these degrees would get in the way of us getting certain jobs. So for the person who holds the highest office to have that degree will free so many people from ever having to hear that again. And that just brings me so much joy because I just love that representation as well, and I hope something is said about it.
Black degrees get you black jobs.
Black degrees get you black jobs, and black jobs are all jobs because
even though Howard grads are going to be insufferable.
Oh my God!
Oh, you know I know
Howard
it.
grads.
You know I know it because when I say I'm an HBCU alum, I am not a Howard grad. But I said, but we all had to do something. But listen, again, as first-gen Kenyan, I know the Nigerians feel that way about us with Obama. So I had my turn. I had my time. To say with AKAs, they're about to be insufferable. Oh, yeah. We're all having our fun with this, but we all also know that we're bringing everybody with us. Yeah.
My roommate is Jamaican, and I can't turn her off. Love you, girl.
How about you, Damon? What do you think you want to hear from the speech?
I agree. I think Palestine is really important to mention. I think also this idea of withholding your vote as a political strategy it needs to be addressed, right? Because we're in a space where withholding your vote means that Trump is going to win. It's going to come down, I think, to that many votes, like a few handful of people that could have changed the course of history. And so I think as a political strategy, we need to be way more mindful that organizing under the big tent, holding people accountable once we are in the office is the biggest strategy I think we need to employ right now. So I hope she says something about that.
Yeah, I fully agree. I was in Georgia during the 2020 election, and it was, 15,000 votes that put it over the edge. So we do need those votes.
Straight up.
So we see many women showing up with their suffragette white on, like they did in 2016 with Hillary Clinton. Clearly, me, Sylvia, and Sage are not three of them.
We didn't get the memo.
I got the memo when I was here, and I'm like, I packed already, babes.
Basically. I also don't wear white because I'm a Fenty 420, and that's going to get, I already messed up this shirt.
That's
so
fair.
So fair.
How does this moment feel different than 2016?
Ooh, I think you have the best answer for that, Joyo. You've been saying all week about how much Roe versus Wade and being the awakening that a lot of that a lot of people, women needed, white women, let's be specific.
White women.
To get up and realize that, we can't play around with this. They're really rolling back our rights in ways that we haven't seen in my lifetime and a lot of other women. So I think that's one of the biggest changes.
Yeah, and also I'm petty and a little spiteful, a little bit of a hater. I hold grudges. That's why I ain't wearing no suffragette white, because the suffragettes wasn't really caring about black women back in the day. So I'm happy I didn't get the memo. I got on a white T-shirt. That's my suffragette.
Okay.
Yeah, I think even if I got the memo before I packed, I'd be like, listen, I'm black. It's the end of the summer. I've been wearing as many white as I've been to 17 all white parties already this summer. I am out of whites. I am out of whites.
Black folk
in every way.
I've always been.
Always.
Black folks love all white, but I'm like, this is not the vineyard. So
and I'm just from the vineyard.
I just left there.
So
but I actually did not know I had anything to do with suffragettes, and I'm actually now really surprised
Gagged.
when I see people wearing it now, because I'm like, made sense for Hillary.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
I also don't think that all the women wearing white know the suffragette part, because some people were just like, oh, I saw it on Threads.
I'm gonna keep it G. I'm gonna keep it G to the question though. I don't know if
you always keep it G.
Always.
I don't know if anything is different. Keep it honest. And I think that's just the biggest critique, is that this is the same political system that has kept us in chains and oppressed for so many years, right? Yeah. And so I don't need to hear more talking points about real issues. I just pray that we are the difference. We are different, right? In terms of not letting folks off the hook.
Sure.
I think that we don't need to get lost in the sauce of excitement, lost in the sauce of the sort of, we need joy, right? We need joy, we need love, we need excitement, all those things. And we need to stay on the ground. We need to stay organized, and we need to keep putting pressure on folks, because this generation is so activated. We saw that in 2020 after George Floyd, folks got shit done. And I just want to make sure that we don't get lulled to sleep the same way that we have in the past.
For sure.
It's because we're excited.
And I did,
Obama,
yeah,
just because we're excited about some
I do
shit.
think it's different now because we were all like drunk on hope. And like, and then, but now it's like we've seen how fast that can turn and how unsustainable it was.
For sure.
And I think even hearing it come from Michelle Obama saying, don't get lost in the celebration, we've got work to do.
For sure.
That part of her speech coming from somebody who is part of the unit that often makes us get caught up in that.
Right, for
I think was really powerful for her to say, because it's like we are all, even them, are woke to this being like, oh no, we have to figure this out.
That's what makes me a little worried, though, actually. It's really, we'll see in January, frankly, January 2025, because.
MLK Day, to be exact.
Right. So my background is in federal policy, and I think part of what is incredibly frustrating, I think, actually about other progressive folks in policy spaces is that people just kind of wanted to get through the election.
Yeah.
And I tweeted something about this very recently around like the things people do and then they don't have a strategy attached to it. Again, we are operating in the best way we know how oftentimes. But I also think there's this weird thing that people just want us to be quiet, actually. Like there's this like have hope, fight hard, vote, but then actually like hold your tongue, don't talk about these issues. But then when someone's elected, they pretend they want to hear you, but they still tell you, don't talk about the issues, be quiet, because now the media will get a hold of it. Now you sound like conservatives. Like it's never actually a right time to continually critique. And that is what still makes me nervous, because people really, a lot of people in my opinion don't really want strategy. They actually do not want like these difficult conversations. They really want silence and you to just vote and be done with it.
But you know, I do think that what is going to be so interesting about this, if I would love to say when, Kamala Harris wins, is we've never had a woman be in that seat.
Yeah.
And we all know women are better listeners. Yeah. We're not we're better.
Oh, what?
Are you going to debate that?
Yes.
You're not listening.
I'm not listening. No. How you stop? I can't let that shit fly. Women are better listeners.
On to my next point. And
that is actually the key.
Exhibit A. I think my work here is done.
Don't fly.
But no, I mean to say though that we've never seen what it looks like when we have a woman president in that position. Will it be how it's been with the men? Mm-hmm. So sorry, Damon, but that's all we've had to work with so far.
No, Trey.
Who have shut it down in between, or will we finally, because there's a woman in charge, have better communication?
Yeah.
I think we will have better communication, and honestly, the best example was during the pandemic, all of the countries that were led by women handled COVID the best.
Yeah, I know.
Cities too. Yeah.
If I can offer like a different perspective, you know, I was really reflecting the other night watching Bernie on stage that actually so much has changed since 2016. 8 years ago, the Democratic Party did not want to touch him or his ideas with a 10-foot pole. They thought he was dangerous, radical, like they threw around socialist like it was a slur. You know what I'm saying? And his ideas, which are pretty standard for every other developed country, have now become major parts of the Democratic Party's platform. I mean, we are now seeing both Harris and Walz continually address in their speeches child hunger, child poverty, you know, lack of resources, being left behind. That blows my mind.
Yeah.
I was like close to tears talking about this. Like 3 months ago with a friend, I was like, I just hate that I'm never gonna live in a country that sees child poverty as a bad thing. Like we're never gonna meaningfully address that. And you know, his ideas around, you know, Tim last night said that, you know, housing is a human right, healthcare is a human right. These were not Democratic policies 8 years ago, not at all. And so they had to move to the left. We have successfully pushed the Democratic Party left over the past 8 years, and that they had to in order to, you know, further encapsulate the under 35 vote, because those are our ideals. Yeah. And I think that made me feel a lot better, because in the past few months, and also seeing 2 members of the squad get primaried, largely because of like AIPAC funding millions of dollars into their opponents, I was feeling very like, gosh, like these, you know, this handful of people who better represent my values, they're not really making a difference, because, you know, they're just like, their votes are kind of, or the votes and the bills that they put forward are kind of just like symbolic, because they don't have the numbers. But watching the extreme progressives all be invited to speak at the DNC, and then, you know, hearing the content of their speeches, I was like, you know what, these people actually do have way more power than I realized, with donors, with the press. You know, the Democratic Party realizes that these characters are now essential to their work, and they can't operate without them. And so, you know, watching Bernie get up there and say, we have to overturn Citizens United and get dirty, filthy, nasty billionaire money out of politics. And they were like, whoa. I was like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
God.
it's fascinating even thinking about that because I remember when people used to call AOC everything but the child of God. And to see just the loud response that the crowd gave her was, I was a little bitter, to be honest. I was like, oh, now y'all like her? Like, it was just such a weird thing. Now, granted, she's done some shifting because she knows she had to in order to have a longer career as a politician. I mean, I don't know if I fully agree with that, but I think that was a decision she made. All right, y'all, so we clearly have talked about a lot, but I've been thinking a lot around like what I need to do when I get back home. Like, what are y'all gonna do? What is your takeaway from this week? Feeling more energized, feeling less? Like, what do y'all think? Joelle?
I'm exhausted, but also because I've been partying. So
part.
I'm having a great time. I'm gonna take away rest. I'm gonna get home and I'm gonna rest. But I'm also gonna obviously always be screaming abortion at the top of my lungs and talking about it on stage and figuring out what we need to do to hold her accountable when she gets in office.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm gonna take away. There's so much work to be done.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
We can talk about Israel and Palestine, but we can't also forget that Sudan, Congo, there's so much work to be done to really bring hope and freedom to the world. And so I'm invigorated with the work that needs to be taken care of.
Yep.
Yeah, I think for me, I came into this election with such impending doom.
Right.
And I think there's a part of me that's still catching up to this huge shift that's happened. I don't think until I see, it's taking her accepting this nomination for her to really sink in what's happening. And I think as somebody who very much believes we must vote for Kamala Harris, what I want to make sure I do, as far as things not being lip service and as far as even what Michelle Obama was saying about do the work, don't just complain, is going to people who don't feel represented and wondering what policies are you looking for so that we can start making a list of how to follow through. If you follow through and vote, we'll follow through and figure out what we need to put at the top of the list that are the needs of our people. So I think for me, I really want to get a better understanding about what certain communities or friends of mine who did not want to vote or who are begrudgingly voting are looking for.
Yep.
I think for me, I came looking for opportunities to get more involved with domestic climate work. And I do see them lacking, which is interesting, even though, they are running on it is one of the points. It's also not a highlight point that they're running on here. And it's not being reported on, but right now, all across the United States, California, Utah, Texas, there's horrific wildfires, there's horrible floods. There's been crazy amount of people losing their homes this week, and it's not being reported on. So I'm definitely looking to see that more amplified and to plug in. There are a couple of policy pieces that I'm going to be leaning into, but I'm excited to finally feel like to soon hopefully feel like we have, for the first time ever, a presidential administration that is taking this as an existential threat.
Yeah, and as for me, I'm taking away the both and, right? Like it is both possible to critique and vote. It is both possible to vote for Kamala and support Palestine in Congo and Sudan. Like it is, because at this point, I don't know the other options.
Right.
Yeah,
Like I actually don't know what's tangible and what's actionable.
Right.
We know what the other option is.
Other options.
Dude. And the thing is, I don't even want to lean into the fear of the other option because, it's, I don't even want to sometimes because I'm just like, damn, he's so terrible. I don't even want to center you.
Yeah,
I want to center why you are important to vote for this person and why you should matter in this conversation. And I mean, Trump is a piece of shit. Like we know that. But to your point though, right? Like working in U.S. foreign policy for those 4 years when he was president was the worst time of my career. And I just don't, it's like, this is not, to your point actually, also you were making, like, I don't even want to tell people at this point, like, if you don't vote for her or if you hold it, you're voting for him. I think it's true, frankly. But I think it's true, frankly. Like, I don't want to. In my heart of hearts, I don't want to believe that.
Yeah.
But it is. But it's just like, I just need people to see that.
Yeah.
And, because I'm like, God, if you really love some of these issues you came to care about, if Trump in office, trust me,
Out of
only
here.
gonna get worse.
it's getting worse. So the both and is so important, and we can walk and chew gum.
At the same damn
At the same
time.
Also,
Can we
do
put that
not
on a hat,
forget-
on a shirt?
Do not forget the biggest take, or maybe the smallest takeaway.
Wait.
The pettiest takeaway. Crowd size matter.
Relax.
Crowd size.
Look.
As
Matters.
President Obama
Not
reminded
AI.
us.
Listen.
I'm not
Matter.
AI, dog. I'm not AI.
We want you to join the conversation. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe to Watering Hole Media on YouTube and your favorite social media platform. Thanks for watching. Brooklyn in the house.
Look.